Hello, everybody, and welcome to Cold Reads, episode 27. I am your host, Laura Nicole, and this show is brought to you by Resonant Audiobook Solutions. Today on Cold Reads, we are doing chapter 19 of Stonebriar Casefiles, and for my cast, I have two great returning cast members, one who is new to voice acting, and one who gave me my voices. So first, let me start off by introducing Alan Spencer.
Hello, everyone. This is Alan Spencer, sysadmin by day, audio drama writer by night. Strange voices that come out of your ears when you're listening to things like this.
Exactly. And my other cast member is from Valley Free Radio, Stacey Cooney.
Hello, everyone.
And what else do you do?
I have a radio show on Friday nights, and during the day I have a terrible, boring office job, which less is spoken about is better.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. Although I did have an exciting audio QC job this weekend, which I can never talk about. That's the only thing that sucks. I get to work on these really cool projects, and then I can't talk about them until the book is released, which is usually months later. Anyway, so today we have 4 characters outside of the narration. We get to go back to Bard's Rest, which means we get to visit my favorite barkeep, Edic. He is an eternal youth. He has a little bit of a lilt to his voice, so I think that would lend itself very well to the Papa Spence. I will never stop calling you that. And then that's going to go to Alan. Someone is messaging me, and it is not with regards to the show. Fantastic. And then Turek is going to be played by Stacey, because I want to broaden your voices. I want to help you build your characters. It will be lovely. And then, because Dad did such a great job of making me tweak out, Dad's going to play the absolutely lecherous Nodris the Dark, who is a gnome, who is that guy on the subway who won't stop staring at you, and who some people might think is attractive, but as the reader, you're not supposed to find him attractive.
I think the word you're looking for is skeevy.
Yes.
An oil slick with sneakers.
Exactly. And a stall in the troll market. See, this is a hard thing for me to say, a stall in the troll, because I have to go from all to ol, and it's weird transition for my mouth. Things you learn as a voice actor. Also, R's are terrible for me. And then for Eric Moonrunner, I am going to have Stacey play that one as well. It's a little gender bending, but that's going to be just fine. All right. Does anybody have any questions about their roles before we get started?
Nope.
Good.
All right, cool. So, as I always do, whenever possible, I will go ahead and share the document. Yes, dog, keep barking. You're going to be on the show too. And so a quick story so far. Beatrix Stonebriar and her friends in the Watch and the Elderwood and Trolls Hollow and the Red Ravine and Silverbark have all come together to prevent a curse that would turn the land of the Elderwood against its inhabitants, to get them all to conform through ruin. They were able to save the life of Jack Haggerty Jr. and his beloved Alina, who have been sentenced to a life of servitude within the Silver Bark. So they would be able to live together in the Silver Bark, but it would not be all butterflies and roses. It would actually be a lot of hard work. But that is the show of mercy there. And just as Beatrix survives this encounter and realizes that she's alive, she starts to lay down and realizes, the court date against John Haggerty Sr. is the next day. So, with a lot of preparation and healing from all of the magical beings, she, Eric, Turek, and Felena head toward Bard's Rest, because apparently there is a shortcut back to the human realm through the troll market. And that is where we pick up with chapter 19. Edic was behind the bar as usual, but it was an off night. Only a few patrons graced his establishment. None of them were enough of a distraction to notice who or what they were.
Trixie!
Came the barkeep's usual greeting.
What can I get for you in a merry pan this evening?
I'm afraid we're on business tonight, Edic. Perhaps when we're done, Turek and his new recruit can keep you company for a spell, I said.
Aye,
he said.
Just too bad. I've got that special blend you like, and finally thought of a name for it, too.
We waited. Apparently, he needed the magic words. Since he was a dear friend, I indulged him. What did you decide on, Edic?
Pixie Punch.
I internally groaned, while Turek and Eric burst out laughing.
Don't you mock it now, Judge. This thing packs a wallop, and the only thing I've been able to see drink it and still keep her wits about her is our own dear Trixie here. And it is to her I raise this fruit and nutty fermentation and give it her namesake.
Thanks, Edic. I'm honored.
You've come back so soon and try it. I know many years may not wear on me much, but I do notice when you're gone, you know.
I smiled at the barkeep. Well, I think I have a couple of reasons to make more frequent visits. We continued up the stairs and down the hall to the entrance of the troll market. It took a little bit to get Felena used to the stairs going up and then spiral stairs that led down into the tunnel that opened up into the troll market. Eventually, we realized that we would have to do it at a bit of a run. So we all got to the bottom of the stairs before she started her descent. Once there, I took out the mirror from my pack and made sure to straighten away any flyaway hairs. Putting the looking glass away, I wiped off my suit of any pollen that might have remained. I cannot believe you talked me into this. I glowered at both males in my company.
Just do what you do best, and remember to appeal to him,
Turek said. I think this is appealing enough along with the money that I may have to spend. I rolled my eyes ostentatiously at them before breaking away to go and flirt with Nodris. I approached the stall and was assaulted by all of the scents of the newly mixed herbs and oils. Driss was sitting at his workbench, facing out toward the thoroughfell, but concentrating diligently on whatever he was grinding in this mortar and ebony pestle. As I observed it more closely, I could pick up the scent of cloves and allspice. There was something else in there that I was not quite placing. That was until he finished and poured the contents into his hot drink. Nutmeg. Do you have any cider for me? I asked, trying with all my might to control the glow of my fairy light. Lying turned me more of a yellow color, and And that wouldn't do to have me tell Driss that I was just coming to him for more information.
I don't think a fine, upstanding fae as yourself would want some of this. It's a bit strong.
Hang on 1 second. There we go. He said, smiling. He took a sip that made me shudder at first. After he swallowed, the smile returned and all of his features relaxed. Dad, that's you.
Oh. So, my lovely Beatrix, you're back within just a couple of days. Have you come to take me up on my offer? You certainly look just to go out.
Actually, I sat on the edge of one of the cloth-covered tables. I'm heading back out to the human world and wanted to make sure I said goodbye. He clutched a hand to his heart dramatically.
I am wounded. For you to leave me so soon, it is a tragedy. But I'm heartened that you remembered to come to my humble establishment to wish me farewell.
Well, there is another reason that I needed to see you. I'm under a time constraint and have to get back by noon tomorrow. I put my elbows on my knees and leaned forward. I hated the way I was using myself. I could see the gnome put on his magnifying monocle and inspect a gem. But I knew where his eyes were truly focused. Eric had convinced me that leaving the button of my shirt open would be appealing. I felt like I was being sized up like some prize cattle. And I know that you're just the person to help me out with a spell for a fast and safe travel for me and my friend.
You're coming to me for potions?
His smirk was disgustingly maniacal.
I've been waiting for you to come to me for your needs.
He put down his monocle and bent over rows of ingredients.
I'll make a batch for you so that it's fresh and it will be most potent at the moon's apex.
He checked his watch.
Yes, I have enough time.
I blinked hard, unable to truly comprehend what was going on. Turning my head to my companions, they shrugged as well. Who knew that all the devious little gnome needed was a custom order to get him to cooperate? I made a mental note for future reference. Driss opened a drawer after drawer. I recognized some of the herbs that he was putting into his mortar, like mint and comfrey root. There were others that were already powdered, which made it very difficult to place them. Once he was finished grinding the different components into dust, he took an eyedropper filled with an amber liquid and added it to a vial. Carefully, he scooped out 2 small teaspoons of the powder mix and added them, turning the color a bright red. The gnome then corked the vial, swirled the mixture until the powder had fully dissolved. How much do I owe you? I asked as he presented the little glass liquids of speed to me.
1 kiss.
I swallowed hard. I can't pay you in gold?
This potion will speed you on your way, and who knows when I'll see you again. Just 1 kiss, and then we'll be square.
I nodded and was cursing Turek and Eric the whole time while he found a shrinking potion and growth cake. Then he sat in his chair and shrunk to my size. Well, he was a little shorter, but still proportionate for a gnome. I leaned down, and he reached up for a kiss. Keeping my eyes closed and my lips closed, I made sure to have him keep the rest of his appendages to himself by gripping his wrists. The kiss wasn't bad, just unwelcome, and when it blissfully ended, I was able to breathe again.
There's more where that came from.
He winked at me. I wouldn't want to make Eric jealous, though. I made an attempt to smile politely.
You two? Together?
He was baffled. And it felt good to stifle the gnome that always had the last word. Thanks for the potion, I said, waving as I left. He shook his head and held out his hand.
Wait, there's one more bit to it.
He scribbled something on a scrap of paper. After rolling, sealing, and shrinking it, he gave it to me.
Don't use it until you're out in the open. Trust me.
The gnome rubbed his shoulder, and I wondered if it was an old wound making itself known. I'll take it under advisement. Turek, Eric, and Valina came up to join me, and we ventured to the end of the troll market. Then, Turek took the lead behind a curtain. We all followed into a wooden room. It kind of felt like being in a giant crate. One of the boards slid down under the goblin's touch, and his fingers moved in the shadows. The wall slid with the sound of stone on stone, and the wooden wall was clearly a false front, but I had no time to inspect it. So we just travel down the tunnel? I said as we were halfway in. When I looked back, Turek and Valina were just leaving the curtain. Guess he still isn't big on goodbyes.
Don't worry, Trix.
Eric held out his hand, and I took a seat on it.
We'll see him soon enough, I think.
The tunnel was short and came out in a field covered in frost. Eric took out his cell phone and used the GPS feature to figure out where we were.
Wow.
He said.
Well, let's get moving. Do you have the spell and potion?
I took out the vial, and Eric dabbed the oil on himself and belongings as I unfurled the note that Driss had given me. Eric nodded, and after I settled in his jacket pocket, I read the incantation aloud. Speed of darkness, speed of light, help us run all night. So mote it be. I suppose I could describe the way the wind howled through the fibers of Eric's jacket, or the warmth of the handkerchief that I was wrapped in, but that isn't my story. I had felt the way that Eric did only 2 days earlier. I could hear him whooping with exhilaration as he ran. His heart did not race with exertion, but just kept beating as though he was briskly walking. It was to the rhythm of his heart that I fell asleep. Bow, bow, and we did it!
Yay!
Yay!
Every time Nadras talked, I was just like, no. It was good because it made me.
I'm so happy that worked for you.
Yes, like it's like people who are the best villains because you hate them.
Oh,
you don't just love to hate them, you hate them, and that's the way that was. It was like, oh no, I really don't want you to do it, but it's perfect for this, and oh no.
Well, I was glad I was able to help.
Yeah, it may also be because you're my dad, but
yeah, there is that part too.
There's that part too. So what did you guys think?
I had a good time with that. So, it was interesting. I haven't been able to do the villain voice very often, so that was sort of a nice change of pace.
Yeah, villain voices are fun. I liked how when you were tripping up on the words, you just kept plowing through. And that's the best way to go with these cold reads. The only thing that makes a difference is if you completely change the meaning of one of the words, like if you say can instead of can't, that could totally change what you're saying. So,
I
good
have
on
been
you.
properly chastised. I'm sorry. I won't do it again. I'll go to my room all night.
You didn't do that this time.
Oh, okay.
I was making an example of when you should go back and fix it,
Okay.
but you did not have that.
Okay.
Okay. And then Stacy, how did it feel to step out of your comfort zone and try some voices on?
It was fun. I feel like I should have pitched Eric a little bit lower, but by the time I realized that, I had already basically gotten through it.
Yeah. And it's difficult when you have the shorter parts. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, I thought she did great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You did. And one of the things that I find I hear from a lot of female narrators is that they don't go too far into their lower register when they're doing male voices unless it's absolutely necessary. And this is twofold. It allows you to record longer because you're not hurting your voice or stretching your voice too much. And then also it allows you to be more consistent.
That makes sense.
Because it's more comfortable for you. You're not pushing yourself. And if you do push yourself, it translates in the audio. And that's not a thing you want. So I think you did, excuse me, very well. This is why I'm not going to be able to stay up and watch Game of Thrones tonight because I am tired. I've been working on audio all day today. So before we sign off, I do want to give you both an opportunity to tell people where they can find you online. So Stacy, why don't we start with you?
Sure. The best place to find me is I always feel a little bit sheepish saying this, but Facebook at Evidence-Based Radio. And so that's the Facebook for my radio program. And that's the easiest place to find me online.
Fantastic. And we do have a link to your website also on the show notes. And Alan, where can we find you online?
You can find my outward appearance of things for voice acting, etc., at Broken Sea Audio Productions, where you can go listen to previous work and upcoming works that are being produced right now, and they are still looking for auditions for some parts. So if you feel like you'd like to give this little thing of voice acting a try, contact Broken Sea Audio Productions or at brokensea.com.
And I should probably also note that in addition to that, some of our previous guests also still have auditions open at circus13.com. And I would definitely recommend anybody who's been thinking about going into voice acting to go and do these auditions. Anytime people ask me how I get started, that's how I got started. With these great groups who have a love of audio, and they're all volunteers, and they put their passion into it. And I think that in itself and the product itself is really rewarding because there's so much love and attention that goes into it. So that's my 2 cents. I want to thank you both so much for being on the show. You can find me online either through resonantmoon.com. Resonant Moon Audiobook Solutions is the business that I have. I do quality control on audiobooks, on podcasts. I do editing for audiobooks and podcasts. And I do this show. You can also follow me on Twitter at @LNicoleAudio. I mostly talk about this show, Dungeons and Dragons, and Critical Role, and then occasionally some social commentary, but mostly those three things because they're what make me happy. If you want to either be on the show or you want to write a short story for the show, as we are getting close to the end of Stonebriar Casefiles, you can go and send me an email at Laura Nicole audio@gmail.com, or you can join our Facebook group, www.facebook.com/groups/cold reads, all one word. And I will be putting up the casting doodle poll as soon as I hear back for a second short story for September. If you would like spoilers for Stonebriar Casefiles, the link to the book on Amazon is in the show notes. You can certainly get a paperback, or you can get the EPUB. That would be an amazing birthday present for me. My birthday is coming up in a little less than 2 weeks. So, yeah. And I do want to let you know that this work is licensed under a Creative Commons Attributions, Non-Commercial No Derivatives 4.0 International License. What that means is that you can download it, you can share it, you can post it elsewhere. Just don't edit it. It is perfect the way it is, just like you. And make sure you link back to this YouTube page. If you like what I'm doing and think it's pretty cool, go ahead and hit subscribe. I get very excited every time I get a new subscriber, and at 20 subscribers, I'm going to do another happy dance. And yeah, I hope you enjoy it. In the meantime, thank you so much for being here. Thank you, Alan and Stacy, for being on the show. And without further ado, say goodnight, guys.
Good night, guys.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.